So my name is Keely Baisden-Knudsen. I'm the artistic director of Legacy Theater, and with me is my right-hand man, Lauren Rosenay. She is our company manager. Lauren, if you wanted to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. So as Keely said, I am the company manager at Legacy Theater. It has been such fun to finally have live theater back and to be working so closely with the productions that we have going on. There's just incredible talent that comes through the door. So we're just so excited to share more about the theater with you today.
Thanks, Lauren. So I come from Texas. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. And so when I went to New York University's Tisch School of the Arts as an undergrad, I first got to know Connecticut because I would escape from that crazy city and come to some place that was a little bit more suburban and chill. And I just absolutely fell in love with it. And I thought, gosh, if I could someday afford to live on my own, I would definitely want to live in Connecticut. The people, the culture, the proximity to Manhattan and Boston and all of those things. So I finished my degree at NYU in acting. And then I went on to the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama in Glasgow, Scotland on full scholarship, which was very nice of them. And I traveled a bit and I thought, well, gosh, maybe I would want to settle here or there. But I always kept coming back to Connecticut, the thought of Connecticut. So I went on a few tours. I'm a singer, actor, dancer. So I would, do some musical theater tours. And as soon as I got enough money to live on my own, I settled all the way out here, even though I didn't know anybody in Connecticut. It just felt like home to me. And so that was, gosh, back in 2002, I convinced my husband to live in Connecticut. So he came out here from the West as well. And we settled in this area. So I've been teaching at Quinnipiac University and Hart School and Yale and Southern and Fairfield. So I've taught at a bunch of different colleges with my master's degree, and then also performed up and down the Eastern United States after my tours. And after a while, I just really felt like I had something to say in regards to programming for live theater, and that I wanted to really build a theater that was inspiring and that could help audiences, learn more about themselves and feel really good to be there. And so I happened to be I was on Boston Post Road in Guilford because I live in Guilford now. And I was on Boston Post Road and I was looking through the old, I think it was the Fonticello's nursery. It's this old building and it's not there anymore. But I was looking through the window and there was a construction worker nearby because it was a for sale building. And he said, "What would you do if you had this building?" I said, "Well, I would have a theater and a conservatory for the performing arts." And he said, "Well, here's my card. Why don't you pitch this idea to the owner who's trying to sell it?" I didn't know the owner. His name was Earl Tucker from Empire Paving. And so I called him up and I said, somebody on site told me to call you and tell you my idea. And he said, "Well, come in on Monday and give me your business plan." And I said, "Okay." So I set to work and I'm typing away and looking up everything in my academic brain, going crazy. We're having a good time. And I get my business plan and I go in on Monday. And the poor man, I sat there across the conference table with him, this person I didn't know. And I read every single word of my business plan. I made him hear every single word of this document that I'd created. And he said, "It's a fabulous idea. Why don't you go see if you can get some seed money and see if it's, something that's feasible." So I did. I raised about 20,000 and was able to do a feasibility study. And my dear friend who I'd performed with for many years out here in Connecticut, Stephanie Steeple Williams, loved the idea as well and said, "Well, let's put some resources into it and let's, fly up the flag up the flagpole and see if anybody salutes." So we did that. And after the feasibility study came back, and this was back in 2011, we found out that in Branford, Madison, or Guilford, that if we had a 350 seat or less theater that had a teaching component, that it would be a good spot to do it because it was, in consideration of all the other wonderful professional theaters around, this was a spot that it could really thrive according to this feasibility study. So we didn't have to go far to learn that the Stony Creek Puppet House was for sale. And at the time, Jimmy Weil was still alive, but the sale was in probate court. And so I had to pitch my idea to the judge, and there were many other, probably half a dozen other people that were vying for being able to have the right to purchase it. And I was surprised and delighted to receive from the judge the ability to, we had the right to purchase it within 12 months. So Stephanie and I went forward fundraising and kind of jumping through the hurdles we needed to. And in March of 2013, we purchased the Stony Creek Puppet House and the neighboring cottage. So after we had done that, then we were in a position where we could really, start to think about, well, what are the architectural plans and how are we going to give a nod to its fabulous history? And we had already named the theater Legacy, our company, the Legacy Theater. And so learning about, the unbelievable histories, from the early 1900s to today was the perfect name for it. And we instantly fell in love with Stony Creek and fell in love with that just slice of Americana. There's no place like it. And that wonderful theater. And you just simply won't believe your eyes when you walk in the building now. We've been open now for 7 or 8 weeks, and we've had a 28 show run of Barefoot in the Park. We have 2 weeks left of Just Desserts, a world premiere of a musical. We've had children's shows. We're sold out with 100% capacity coming up next Saturday for an original show that Lauren and I wrote about the iconic softball player, Joan Joyce, who's from Waterbury. And we've just had such fun. Next month, we have 8 different Broadway performers coming to do 8 solo concerts for us. We have youth intensives with a Broadway performer. It's just a very robust schedule, and we're super excited about it. And the audiences are thrilled. We started out with plexiglass and with every other row socially distanced. And now, since things have been lifting with the restrictions, we've been able to, slowly open doors more and more to those that feel comfortable coming out to be entertained and to have live theater. So we're one of the few theaters in Connecticut that's been open and running, and it's been a thrill to see audiences relieved and able to commune and laugh together and cry together again. So Lauren is going to show you a video, and this video we created at a time when the theater was still under construction very much. The outside of the building has been lovingly restored to how the facade looked in 1928. With an awning and with the facade boards. Each one was taken off, and those were the original 1903 boards. Each one was taken off, numbered, and lovingly restored, and then put back exactly where it was. So the envelope of the building has remained the same and has been historically accurate. And we received a sizable grant from the State Historic Preservation Office in order to do that. But inside, it was in shambles. And so we had the opportunity to just make the most wonderful design in there that has 127 seats now, has a balcony seating area. There's a flexible orchestra pit that can also be seating area or be more stage flooring, however we want to use it. The audience is built over the lobby, so the lobby has this really interesting feel before you go into the actual house of the theater. It's a wonderful stage to perform on. The acoustics are incredible. And of course, since we were building during the pandemic with our essential workers, the MERV 13 HVAC system, we were able to get right at the beginning of kind of the craze of needing one of those in order to operate as a theater. And we're just able to put a lot of safety measures in place programmatically as well, so that we could hit the ground running, as it were. So I'm excited for Lauren to show you this. I don't know if she has any words beforehand, but this wonderful video that gives you kind of a snapshot of what it was back in the fall of last year. And then we go into the history, and you'll see some wonderful pictures and what our first season was planned. But this is a snapshot of history from the fall. So take it away, Lauren.
All right, here we go. I am sharing my screen. And can everyone see that? I haven't played it yet, but.
We can see the black
People
screen.
need the arts. People need theater. They need a place to go and escape.
I fell in love with theater because from the moment I had my first audition, it was the most welcoming feeling that I had ever had.
Intimate regional theaters are sort of the backbone of the theater. They bring local cultural identity to everywhere in America.
I really fell in love with theater in high school.
Lauren, can you unmute yourself? We can't hear the video without your sound on.
All identities, all stories, and to dive deeper. We have the potential to dive deeper in, and I'm excited for that. I know that we as artists will come together and that will happen.
My name is Keely Baisden-Knudsen. I'm the artistic director and founder of the Legacy Theater. And I'd like to now turn the time over to our co-founder and chair of the Board of Trustees, Stephanie Stiefel-Williams. Stephanie.
Keely and I began Legacy Theater in 2011, and over that time, we have produced more than 60 productions and events, including Hamlet on the Guilford Green and A Midsummer Night's Dream, which was the first Shakespeare in the Park on the Branford Green. We've been serving communities up and down the shoreline in Connecticut, taking students to New York City to see Broadway productions and meet behind the scenes with staff, developing meaningful partnerships and working with our neighbors here in Stony Creek to establish a business plan that would serve our communities best while being mindful of this quaint, historic village of Stony Creek.
Since we're in the lobby together, let's look at some of the features. This here is our grand staircase that will bring you up to the beautiful mezzanine area of the theater. Over here is our box office. But more importantly, this wall right over here will house all of our donors.
Here to tell you more about Legacy Theater's outreach program, the Wheel Life Theater Troupe, is Josh Greenvall.
We started a group together called Wheel Life Theater Troupe for those with wheelchairs or ambulate with crutches. We researched at the library next door and even got to perform at the International Festival of Arts and Ideas, the Branford Festival, and the Guilford Performing Arts Festival. When they were looking to design the theater, I was glad to know that the stage is designed with accessible access and there's a fully backstage dressing room that is accessible.
Once upon a time, or to be more specific, in 1866, a small non-denominational church was built at 128 Thimble Island Road in the village of Stony Creek in Branford, Connecticut. It was established as a community gathering place for everyone, permanent residents and summer visitors alike. A fire damaged the property in 1900, and in 1914, the land was sold to William Howd. And although the building would no longer be a chapel, its tradition as a community gathering place would continue as the foundations were laid for a silent picture movie theater called Idle Hour Moving Pictures. The building was short-lived as a movie hall because in 1923, a theater group was forming belonging to the Stony Creek Church of Christ. The theater group was called the Parish Players. In 1928, the Parish Players purchased the movie theater space and repurposed it to fit its needs. The building at 128 Thimble Island Road became home to live theater for the first time, and thus began the birth of live entertainment from its stage. The group set about fundraising to build an addition to the building to suit the stage for performances. The Parish Players performed many productions in the theater, including the world premiere of Death Takes a Holiday, Other productions, such as Private Lives, Merrily We Roll Along, and Pygmalion, were among the other popular productions and season performances. During those wonderfully special years inside the theater walls, many celebrity icons graced the boards, including the likes of Joseph Cotten and Orson Welles. Along came World War II, and life changed for everyone. It changed for the theater in Stony Creek, too. Although it is unconfirmed, it is rumored that the Stony Creek Theater played its patriotic role as a parachute factory, contributing to the war effort. After the war ended, the building continued its role as a factory. From 1946 to 1960, the theater building became home to Maternaline Incorporated, a designer and manufacturer of corsets and the like. Its 14-year run under this reign made many ladies, young and old, perfectly underdressed for all occasions. Entertainment returned to the building when Grace Weil established the space as a puppet museum in 1961. Among the cast of World Puppets were 52 nearly life-sized Sicilian puppets, direct from performances in Italy. Grace Weil's son Jim and Italian Salvatore Macri were the next to put their mark on the theater. With their rare and cherished skills of puppetry, the Italian puppets came to life. The great era and all that they did to bring this Italian art form to America and to this special corner of the earth is a true legacy. There were so many who were under the tutelage of those artists who made the Stony Creek Theater their home over the years. Classes and youth theater were in abundance under those in the Parish Players era, as well as with Weil, Barry Fritz, Joe Davis, the Alliance Theater, and many others. After many years of delighting audiences with its varied presentations of music, art, and theater, the Puppet House began to show and feel its age. In 2013, the Legacy Theater purchased this grand lady, and with the help of the State Historic Preservation Office and many foundations, corporations, and individuals like you, we are restoring the theater not only to its former glory, but to a state-of-the-art venue for live theater and specialized training that will be better, safer, more efficient, more community-oriented, more professional, and more beautiful than ever before.
Here we are in the upstairs dressing rooms, where performers will be waiting their entrances for our Broadway concert Spotlight series for you. Tickets to these concerts go on sale right now, so you can go online immediately to our website, www.legacytheaterct.org, and purchase your socially distanced tickets right now.
There are more naming opportunities, just as the George Victor Artist Cottage has been named. These stairs can be named by you. We could also name, more seats. There's all kinds of naming opportunities, and that's inside the theater. Outside the theater, we're also having naming opportunities in the courtyard. So for instance, there's 3 windows that are on the side of the theater, and they're going to be kind of museum windows to tell you a bit about the past here at Legacy Theater.
Also wanted to share with you about our children's series happening Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. To kick off our children's series is Polka Dots, the Cool Kids musical, written in part by Connecticut native Douglas Lyons. Polka Dots, the Cool Kids musical, serves as a colorful history lesson, reminding audiences that our individual differences makes us awesome, not outcasts. We also have many other children's series shows to look forward to. So be sure to check out our website to learn more about our family fun Saturday mornings right here in Stony Creek.
Hi, I'm Greg Noble, and I'm delighted to be here to announce Legacy's one-off productions throughout the year. We will have films such as Orson Rehearsed, fun and engaging pieces such as the one-man show Blood Type Ragu, and a special expanded voices series, which will give much needed space to marginalized communities and stories. I had the distinct pleasure of producing one such piece on Broadway this past season called Slave Play, which was recently nominated for 12 Tony Awards. I'm personally thrilled that Legacy will become a home for these vital voices and a launchpad for their stories right here in Branford. Thank you for your support of the Legacy Theater, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the theater soon.
The Puppet House has a significant legacy for me because I was in the last batch of shows that happened down there before it sort of closed up shop. So I did Schoolhouse Rock down there and A Christmas Carol, and there was another show that escapes me at the moment. But I was so sad when it closed down, and to see what it has turned into is just amazing. And all the incredible work that's been done by Stephanie and Keely is just thrilling to me, and I hope thrilling to you. In addition to that, that little shack on the corner right there, which I guess isn't a shack anymore, is was my great-grandfather's barbershop. The house that was behind it, which is no longer there, is the house that my father and his family grew up in. And then just a few doors down, that corner, it was an antique store, I don't know what it is, next to Payne's. That was my great-grandfather's tavern. So the history is really rich for me. And to see it being revitalized and to see that there is such life being breathed back into it is just something that I have waited for so long. So please support them, support them. And I just think the future of theater is down there, and I look forward to seeing what it becomes in the heart of good old Stony Creek. Thank you.
This is such a great view up here. I'm not only looking at what will become our 127 seats, but also a good view of the orchestra pit. So this is our orchestra pit / extra flooring / risers with extra seats. And our designers have done such a lovely job of making this come to pass. So when we have the floor on the stage, it extends from, this would be the last row of seats, all the way back into the theater. And that would be great for our classes. We have classes for all ages. I mean, toddlers, and then we've got 5 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 to 18, adults. So all ages will be represented for our classes. We'll also have 2 weeks of intensives over the summer break for youth to work with our professionals. And we also have an apprenticeship for those that would like to be a part of our crew or part of our theater productions in any way, shape, or form. This is such a beautiful design for a theater. I just can't get over everything that they came up with to make all of this possible. I want to take a moment to thank Trip Wyeth and Sarah Holmes of Wyeth Architects and Dave Peterson as well for designing this gorgeous space. So now I'd like to turn the time over to Trip Wyeth to tell you a bit of the COVID precautions they're taking as they are building the theater.
There's a trend in building even before COVID-19 that towards a healthier building methods. We've been working towards this for some years now, but COVID-19 has raised an entirely new consciousness, healthy environments or healthy air. So at any rate, for this particular theater, certainly some special systems adjustments have been made. The systems in the first place are designed for a healthy interior environment. They're set up not just to keep cool the air, but in fact to filter it for pollen, allergens, dust, smoke, even bacteria. And all the air delivered to the interior of the building is not only fresh, but it's literally been scrubbed, it's clean. Some special adjustments are being made now for COVID-19 in the application of the air once drawn into the system is run through UVC light and ionic plates, opposing plates that actually have the ability to kill viruses. So air is not only fresh, outdoor fresh air is not only brought in, heat exchangers used for energy reasons and filtering for cleanness, but in fact, the air from the audience will even have been treated for viruses.
Hi, I am Broadway and cable television's Sutton Foster. Small theaters are vital in our American communities. Orson Welles knew that, Corky St. Clair knew that, and I know that. We need the arts now more than ever, so please open your hearts and your pocketbooks if you can. The legacy of the legacy is still being written.
And here we are on the Legacy Theater stage.
Thank you for joining us this evening. And now we are thrilled to announce our inaugural season.
So each of these shows are going to run Wednesdays through Sundays. Wednesdays at 7, Thursdays at 2 and 7, Fridays at 8, Saturdays at 2 and 8, and Sundays at 2.
And for the first time in history, we can now say that Legacy Theater tickets are on sale right now.
April 28th to May 23rd, Neil Simon's hilarious comedy, Barefoot in the Park. The New York Times calls it a rib-tickling comedy, which is exactly what we need at this time.
June 2nd through June 27th, we're pleased to present the world premiere of Just Desserts by Brad Ross and Barbara Campbell, directed by Tom Wallace. It's sweet, it's savory. It's 5 strangers putting their hearts, reputations, and baking skills on the line to become the crème de la crème of bakers at a county fair.
July 28th to August 22nd, Oedipus Rex. Sophocles has written over 120 plays, and of them only 7 have survived to this day. Oedipus Rex, or Oedipus the King, is known as one of the most famous and important Athenian tragedies. This play was written in 420 BC, and I look very forward to adapting it and directing it here on this stage.
September 1st through 26th, The Last 5 Years by Jason Robert Brown. The Last 5 Years was named one of Time magazine's 10 best shows of 2001. This emotionally powerful and intimate musical ingeniously chronicles the 5-year relationship between 2 New Yorkers.
December 1st to December 12th, A Christmas Carol. Charles Dickens and his timeless classic tale is going to be retold with the new music by Brad Ross here on the Legacy stage, and we will pleasantly haunt you with this classic tale.
And that, my friends, is the lineup for the inaugural season of 2021. Reservations are on sale online right now and will be automatically configured for social distancing guidelines. And of course, we will be following the health and safety recommendations of the state of Connecticut and the CDC.
So we will see you here with your beautifully masked faces and socially distanced and probably a lot fewer numbers, but we will see you here at the theater, and we look very forward to it.
Thank you so much for watching that. And Lauren played the most major role in actually editing that video for us. And she's just genius in all ways. So thank you for doing that. I wonder, Lauren, if you can share your screen and go to our website, if that's something you can do. So
I was just going to say, because as Keely had mentioned before, that video is a bit outdated. But I think it's still great to show everyone, even though some shows have passed. We've had such a busy first season, and our construction is just, it's beautiful inside the theater. So we definitely would love everyone to see what it's looking like now, because it's just so different.
So if you're interested, I know we're going to have a bit of a talk back, and I look so forward to opening the dialogue to you and answering your questions. But if you're interested in ushering, I know that there's a couple ushers actually here that are with us right now. You can go to Work With Us, and then you go to the drop-down menu there and go to Volunteer, and it'll take you to a form that you can fill out for becoming a volunteer that will tell you all about we'll be in touch with you. Our house manager will be in touch with you and can let you know what our needs are. And if you'd like to come by and usher, you can do that. It's a good way to see the show for free. We have our season is on, oh, she's showing you the social media portion. Actually, I'll let you narrate, Lauren, since you're navigating it.
I'm just trying to find some updated photos of the interior of the theater. It's one of the things that when people walk into the theater, they're just in awe of all of its beauty and the gorgeous gold proscenium and the gorgeous ceiling. And it's just, oh, here's a picture of Just Desserts, which is running now at Legacy Theater.
It is hilarious and delightful. It's if you like baking shows and you like musicals, you'll be in absolute heaven. And the tunes, they're new, but they're so hummable. Our front of house staff is constantly humming them throughout their days. It's a guaranteed laugh, a guaranteed good time.
Yes, and as Keely said, it's a new musical, so you can be one of the first ever to see it, which is really exciting.
Will you take us to the homepage? So if people want to learn about our season, the best way to do it?
Yes.
This is the first thing that pops up when you come to our website, and you scroll down just a little bit. It shows you our first upcoming things, which is Just Desserts is playing right now, and Joan Joyce is on Saturday mornings in our children's series. If you missed the Telly Leung concert that was our grand opening, but you'd like to see it, we actually had it recorded. So you can watch the video of it, which is so fun. He was Aladdin on Broadway, and you might recognize him from Glee. What an entertainer. And if you want to see our entire calendar now through December, you can click on that icon that had the calendar on it and just scroll through whatever month you're looking at and whatever day. And it goes all the way through December. You just scroll through and you can buy tickets straight through there. Next month, we have 8 different Broadway concerts. So, and then Carol's Kings, which is a trio singing about Carole King. We have Blood Type Ragu, all these you've heard about on the video. So that's an easy way to do it online. Or if you go back to that homepage, you can just simply scroll down even further beyond those boxes. You can click on any of those little icons and it'll take you straight to how to get tickets. So that's the easiest way to do that. If you want to sign up anyone you know for classes, you can do that online. You just go to programming and you can register and pay and everything just in the clicks on the website and get fully enrolled. Stephanie Gibson is a Broadway star, and she is heading up our week-long youth summer intensives, and they're 2 weeks. 1 week is for ages 8 to 12 and the other week is for 13 up. And they end with a performance, and they're very affordable, especially compared to the Schuberts and others in the area for that week-long camp. So that's starting to fill up. It has a cap of 25. So if you know somebody who wants to do it, they should fill up or enroll very, very soon. So thank you so much for going through this journey with us. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts or comments, questions. We've just in this last week, we had a 94-year-old man walk into the lobby, and he had a tracheotomy. So he was, kind of like whispering through his comments, but he was very emotional because his mother had worked in that building when it was the girdle factory. And so he used to sit next to her as she was working and chat with her. And so that the building is, even though it's been a theater for the majority of its life, it's also had some interesting other bits of its past. And it's just so neat to hear all the stories of people who've been to the Puppet House in one way, shape, or form.
Before you all start asking questions, I just want to thank you guys, Keely and Lauren, on behalf of the Stony Creek Museum. What's exciting about the Stony Creek Museum is we just reopened. We'll be open on Sundays from 1 to 4 and by appointment. And we still have your exhibit up. Because of COVID, we left it up another year, and we have the puppets, 2 of the puppets. So sure to stop by. We welcome you to the neighborhood so much because, of course, you've added like the sense of elegance and wonder and awe. And, we just love having you here in Stony Creek. And so I'm going to head off again, but I'm just going to let everybody ask questions. But thank you on behalf of the Stony Creek Museum. We love you. We just adore you, and we can't wait to see every show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and type them in the chat. To get us started, I know restoring a building is no easy feat. What was the most difficult aspect of getting everything to where it is now?
You know, that's an interesting question. When I went to NYU, they didn't teach me about, you know, septic tanks. And I feel like I know so much about septic tanks now. There's so much that goes into building a building and construction, and so many people in this area are so well versed in it, but I'm certainly not one of them. So it's been a real education in what it takes to create a building and all of the aspects that you would never, I just never would have thought of in going into a theater, and what a difference each element of a building will make. We had an air compressor that, you know, everything was gutted, and so it was everything was brand spanking new, and we had to have this air compressor that actually went off all the time. And so during Barefoot in the Park, we were like, what is that? Sounds like and so it took some detective work by some knowledgeable people that learned that it was the air compressor. So they came in and they detached it, and they had it hanging from things so it wouldn't actually touch the building, and they fixed a leak, and they did all these things, and now you can't hear it at all. But it's little things like that that have been interesting challenges. You know, and directing and being in the theater in general is so collaborative. It's a collaborative art, and it's all about challenges. It's all about, you know, putting out fires and finding a way to keep morale high and to solve problems. And so I love that, and I thrive on that. So in a sense, being an artistic director has been helpful, and also being, you know, a key person in making decisions for the building itself.
Awesome. I know Mary Lee mentioned that she has some of the puppets. Do you know where the rest of them ended up? I don't know much about the Puppet House myself.
Yes. So I've seen the entire collection, and they're absolutely stunning. When I first went to go look at the Puppet House when it was for sale, majority of the puppets were in the building at the time. So Grace Weil was the one who'd purchased in 1961, purchased the building and made it the Stony Creek Puppet Museum. And that's where she, you know, had brought over all these gorgeous, nearly life-size Italian puppets straight from Italy. And then when she passed on just a year or two later, Jimmy Weil, her son, had inherited it. And so he created the Puppet House, bringing the puppets to life with Sal. And so they were, you know, actually doing the songs of Roland and doing these old ancient theatrical pieces with the puppets, as was the tradition in Europe, but we've just don't do it in the States. So it was really quite a rarity, an amazing bit of culture. But then once the programming at that theater needed to kind of expand, the puppets started taking a bit of a beating, and there was, you know, great puppet restorers like Joe Davis and others who were so knowledgeable and able to kind of keep them as well-oiled as possible, and then after Jimmy was hospitalized, things just kind of went more and more into demise, and there was really no one to take care of them. So luckily, it's a long way to say this, but luckily, Jimmy's sister was kind of willed the puppets, and so she was able to, with her builder husband, the Shays, they were able to store them in Essex in a nice controlled place. Originally, the idea was to donate them to UConn, so that, because UConn has a great puppetry department and has the ability to restore them. They didn't have the space and they didn't have the resources at the time. So in the meantime, they had been kind of lovingly hung in a very nice building in Essex, and have been kind of protected there ever since. And they gave me the opportunity to pick two of them that we got to lend to the Stony Creek Museum, which is where they are now, the two warriors, a woman and a man puppet. And so you can go by now and see. I'm so glad the museum is open. You can go by and see. They're just absolutely amazing. But yes, the collection is together, and it's with the right people, and it's well taken care of.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Also, anyone, if it's easier, you can also unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. You don't have to limit yourself to the chat. I know you have a very exciting season coming up. Is there something you're particularly looking forward to?
I can't stop thinking about Oedipus Rex. That's the next one we're doing. And from the beginning, I've been creating a soundscape with a musician that's in Turkey. And I'm so excited about the fabrics. And my best friend, Mariah Sage, had mentioned the other day, she said, did you pick Oedipus Rex because it's one of the very first pieces of theater that we know about? And this is, your very first season at the Legacy. And I said, that didn't occur to me, but that's a great reason to do it. The reason I'm doing it is because of the pandemic. And I didn't want to open with a tragedy. We've been through so much tragedy. I wanted to have two good comedies. But as the summer goes on, I'm ready to kind of sink my teeth into this tragedy. But there was a plague in Athens that wiped out a third of the population right before this play was first produced. And it's about a people that are going through a pandemic, and it's about extraordinary political turmoil and political arrogance and all of these things that were just buzzing around in 2020 in such heightened ways. And I wanted to make sure that we stage it as far back in time as possible, which is when it was written, 420 BC, if you could imagine. It was written then. And it so parallels where we are today that I felt like having that vast amount of time between when it was written and where we are today, but so many parallels between the two cultures and times to be alive, that it's just a little bit, it gives us pause to say, wow, humanity just, we repeat ourselves, we find ourselves in these situations, and how did they respond to it? How are we responding to it? So I've been all abuzz in my mind. My mind is constantly going with Oedipus Rex. I'm thrilled to get a chance to put that piece of art up.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm also running the desk.
Sorry.
Somebody would like to know if you ever offer sign language interpreters for the plays if it's requested.
Oh, when we did our Hamlet and when we did our Midsummer Night's Dream, we had an interpreter, and that was awesome. We have listening devices at the theater, but we have not had an interpreter yet. But we would definitely be open to that.
Excellent. Anybody else have any questions? Anything you really want to talk about that you didn't get a chance to talk about?
I think one of the coolest things lately has been Joan Joyce. I don't know if any of you on the Zoom happen to know this woman, but Tony Renzoni, who's actually a Branford native, had written a book called Connecticut softball legend Joan Joyce about her life. And I mean, she's in the Guinness Book of World Records for golf, 17 putts in one round. But she's this incredible athlete in all respects, but definitely in softball. She would throw in fast pitch softball. She'd throw a ball at like 119 miles per hour. She struck out Ted Williams. I mean, she's just phenomenal. Well, she's 80 and she lives in Florida and she's still coaching. And she's coming up on Saturday. She's flying up. And so our team members, past team members from all over the United States are flying in to see our show. Tony knew Lauren, the company manager on the Zoom here, and had approached her about dramatizing this piece. And so she and I set to work and we've made this musical, and it is such a delight. And this woman is so inspiring. Audiences sob and they laugh and they gasp because they just love her so much. They're just super fans in the audience. And, we get standing ovations for this, family series piece that we created that I don't think Lauren nor I had any idea what kind of effect this show would be, simply because it's such a tribute to this living legend. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, it's truly been one of the most incredible experiences. Just the show alone as it is just incredible to watch. And then after the show, just hearing everyone's feedback and how touched they were and how they knew she was in softball, but then realized she had these world records in basketball and bowling and tennis, and it goes on and on and on. thing she touched, she excelled at and broke records. And she's just such an inspiration to women. And she was one of the founders for women becoming professional in softball. And she has coaching records. I think her team right now in Florida Atlantic University has won over 900 games. So it's amazing to learn about her and just see how astonished people are that are coming to see the show. It's just an incredible experience.
It's interesting how this one has sold out more than our other shows too. For instance, this Saturday, we're totally sold out. It's our first ever, it's historic for Legacy because it's our first ever 100% sold out show at 127 people. And then, the week after that is selling so quickly. Last week, it was 100 people. I mean, it's amazing. And that's it, that it's only on Saturdays. So there's been, the front of house people have been all abuzz about where are they touring it? Can they do it in Waterbury? Can they go to Florida? So I don't know, Lauren and I have a lot to talk about in terms of like the future of the show, but it's really fun to have been part of that creative process and actually creating, the piece along with the author, Tony Renzoni.
Awesome. So Mary Lee wants to know how many tickets are left for the Joan Joyce, if any.
I could look. I could look.
I think today, so June 19th is completely sold out. I think there's even a wait list, so it's sold out beyond. But the June 26th show, I believe there's less than 20. So, but Keely will give an exact answer.
Definitely very popular, it sounds like. Any plans to add more shows, or is this it?
I don't know. I guess Keely and I are going to talk about it, but it's been in high demand, and we're so honored, and we're honored that it's doing so, but we're honored to share her story because it's just, I have no words. It's really incredible.
It's a good problem to have, that's for sure.
Oh, there are 11 seats left.
Yeah.
It's like, go on and get them. Get them while they're hot.
Get your tickets now.
Or usher. I don't know if we have ushers for that. Well, I guess you wouldn't have a seat though. So maybe you don't want to usher.
All right. So let's
I see a whole bunch of chatting in there.
Yeah.
But I can't read them. So
it's let's see. It's a lot of congratulations. Looking forward to going to this beautiful theater. I remember seeing Joan Joyce's show on June 26th with some elderly neighbors. She was a big deal. Let's see. Congratulations to Keely and the rest of the folks who have pulled the theater together. And thanks to your house manager, Jeff, for giving a peek into the theater to local residents. He was very responsive.
He's great. Yeah. Good. Thanks,
Last call for questions. If nobody has anything else, I think we can wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
Thanks again, everybody. Loved it. Every time we listen to you all, we learn something. Fantastic.
Thanks for the opportunity. Anytime.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom. Thanks everybody for coming, and I'll have this video up on YouTube in the next couple of days so you can share it around and send it to anybody who wasn't able to make it.
Awesome. Thank you.